Welcome, true crimers. Welcome to my true crime channel. I hope you enjoy. If you're new, welcome, and I hope you hit that subscribe button. If you've come back and already subscribed, thank you. Let's begin. Now, this is a sickening story of Joe Mentheny. And this is the killer who made his victims into burgers and sold them to unexpected customers, as he had his own burger van. Joe had always been rough. He endured a child of neglect, with an absence alcohol father and a mother to work extra shifts to support her sick children. They lived in Essex, near Baltimore. Not many other details are known about this youngster's years, but his mother says he joined the army in 1973 when he was just 19. They lost touch after that. Just kept drifting further and further away. I think the worst thing that ever happened to him was drugs. It's sad to say the story, she said. Upon leaving the army, Mentheny worked blue-collar jobs in lumber yards and truck driver. Then came the incident that sparked his desire for revenge. In 1994, Joe Mentheny was living with his girlfriend and their 6-year-old son in South Baltimore. As a truck driver, he was on the road for long stints at a time. One day he came home to find his girlfriend gone, along with their child. Like Mentheny said, she had drug addiction, and Joe believed she lived with another man and took to living on the streets with him. He flew into rage. He spent days looking for them, checking halfway houses and even under certain bridges where he knew his wife used to buy and do drugs. Under the bridge, he found not his wife, but the 2 homeless men whom he believed knew her. When they gave no indication that they knew where his family was, he killed them both with an axe he brought along. Immediately afterwards, Mentheny allegedly noticed a fisherman nearby who could have seen what he'd done. Just in case, Mentheny killed him too. Some people deemed these first 3 killing crimes of passion, though he'd later developed a taste for murder. As soon as he realized that what he'd done, Mentheny panicked and tossed the bodies into the river to hide the evidence. He did get some closure on his son's whereabouts, saying, "I found out about 6 months later she had moved on the other side of the town with some asshole that had her out selling her for drugs. They got busted for drugs and they took my son away from them for child neglect and child abuse." Excuse the noise in the background. Police arrested Mentheny for the murders of the 2 men under the bridge, and he spent a year and a half in county jail awaiting trial. However, he was acquitted of any charges, as he dumped their bodies in the nearby river and investigators could not find them. Making human hamburgers. But this time something was different. Though he had spent a year and a half awaiting his trial, jail time had clearly done nothing to slow Joe Mentheny down. Shortly after being released, Mentheny murdered 2 sex workers when they failed to provide him with information on his missing girlfriend. This time, however, he had a better idea of disposing of their bodies. Instead of tossing them in the river, Mentheny brought the bodies home. There he dismembered them and stored the meatiest parts of them in Tupperware containers. What didn't fit in the freezer, he buried in a truck lot owned by the pallet company he worked for. It seemed that he was now murdering people for sport as much as for revenge. Over the next several weekends, he mixed the sex workers' flesh with beef and pork, forming it into little pâtés. Lovely. He would sell these meat patties out of a small barbecue stand he opened on the side of the road. During this time, his customers would all consume bits of human flesh. They received no complaints on the meat tasting funny. In fact, no one seemed to notice that his burgers had a little something extra in them. The human body tastes very similar to pork, he said. If you mix it together, no one would tell the difference. So the next time you're riding down the road and you happen to see an open pit beef stand that you've never seen before, make sure you think about this story before taking a nice bite on a sandwich. Though the police only committed him to 3 murders, Josephine Rowe Mentheny claimed to have slaughtered, a total of 13 victims, some of whom he allegedly turned into patties that he sold unwittingly to customers on a Baltimore roadside. When the police arrested Joe Mentheny for assault in December 1996, they expected him to put up a fight. 6'1", 450-pound lumber worker apparently had a tendency to fly off the handle. At the very least, they expected some resistance. What they didn't expect to hear was a detailed and upfront confession of the brutal of which shocked the police, especially when Murphy added, "I'm a very sick person." In his confessions, Mentheny described to the police how he furiously raped and murdered and dismembered sex workers and people who were homeless. However, these victims just served as a substitute for one intended victims, his runaway girlfriend. Mentheny confessed to his most disturbing crimes. Not only did he himself eat some of the victims' flesh, but he served it to other unknowing people as well. Eventually, a jury found him guilty and sentenced Mentheny to death. However, a judge overturned his verdict in 2000 and charged it down to 2 consecutive life sentences. The words "I'm sorry" will never come out, for they would be a lie. I am no more than willing to give up my life for what I have done. To have God judge me and send me to hell for eternity, I just enjoy it, he said at his trial. The only thing I feel bad about in any of this is I didn't get to murder the 2 motherfuckers who was really after, he said, and that's my ex, hello lady, and the bastard she got hooked up with. Joe Mentheny's death behind bars. Joe Mentheny was finally caught in 1996 when he would be a victim named Rita Kemp managed to escape his clutches and ran straight to police. During the investigation, Mentheny willingly offered up a confession. He gave details about each of his murders, even mentioning the murders of fishermen from several years before. According to his confession, he killed 10 people, and authorities say there's no reason to believe he would have stopped there had he not been captured. In 2017, guards found Mentheny unresponsive in his cell at the Western Correctional Institution in Cumberland at about 3 p.m. They pronounced him dead shortly afterward. That was ending his horrific saga. Now, do you think he got what he deserved? I hope you enjoy this story. There'll be many more to come. Please hit the like and subscribe button, and I will try and get a true crime story up every once a week. So hit them buttons and don't miss a single one.